to today's ESPC community webinar. Today I'm joined by Neto De Andrea, MVP, who will cover succeeding with SPFx, building reusable components that scale across your enterprise. We love hearing guys had to say, so remember joining conversation about today's webinar and more on X. Our handle is at ESPC underscore community and our hashtag is hashtag ESPC25. Tweet us, tag us, and tell us what you learned. Don't forget to check out our Learning Hub, which updates the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. You can access and view the Learning Hub by visiting our website, sharepointeurope.com, and clicking Content tab at the top. Don't let the learning stop here. Continue to keep up and stay ahead by joining us for our next webinar. Automate the Essentials, 10 SharePoint Online workflows you can't miss, with Anouk Fearon's MVP. This webinar will take place this evening, Thursday, October 23rd at 4 p.m. CEST. For more information on this webinar, please check out www.sharepointeurope.com/SharePoint Week. Celebrate SharePoint Week with an exclusive ESPC offer. In honor of SharePoint Week, we're thrilled to unveil a special limited time promotion for ESPC. The first 10 new bookings will receive an extra €500 discount on top of the current late bird ticket price. Simply use the code SharePoint Week Special at checkout. This exclusive offer is our way of celebrating the SharePoint community's continued innovation, collaboration, and impact across the Microsoft ecosystem. Don't miss out. This promotion is valid only for new bookings made before October 31st or until all 10 discounted places are claimed. Secure your spot today and be part of Europe's premier Microsoft 365 AI and Azure conference, taking place in Dublin this December. As always, if you have any questions at any stage, feel free to type them in the chat box and Ned will get to them during the webinar. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center, where you will be notified by email when it is available. And now I'm going to pass it over to today's webinar presenter, Nello. Hello, Nello. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, Sean. Thank you. I will start sharing my screen. So,
Perfect.
and
I can see your
yeah,
screen.
great. And start my presentation. So, hello, everybody. My name is Nello D'Andrea. Today, I will speak about how we have built our intranet and various platforms and how we have scaled our component across our enterprise. So I work for a company called La Mobilière. It's one of Switzerland's leading insurance company. I'm Microsoft 365 developer, MVP. And over the past 5 years, I've built many SPFx solutions and reusable building blocks that serve now more than 6,000 employees across our organization and language regions. My blog, puntobello.ch, is where my colleague and myself share lessons learned, code alongside with best practice. So today's session runs about 45 minutes. Drop question in chat as we go. So this session is about my journey of developing an enterprise-grade multilingual intranet with SharePoint Online. I will be sharing my experience in having built and scaled up our own custom SPFx component over the years across various business units and requirements. And I will also share what I personally think has made our intranet and SharePoint solution a success story. We'll start with how it all began, that initial challenge, and the question of whether we could actually build this ourselves. I will walk you through how we went from a proof of concept with just 3 months to deliver it to building a lean production team that now serves our entire enterprise. Along the way, I will dive into the technical foundation we laid down, particularly around multilingual capabilities, the framework choices we made, and how we approach reusability to avoid rebuilding the wheel every single time. I will show you some concrete examples, live demo. We'll have a look at our multilingual approach, compass to standard SPFx localization, explore some of the key components like in-page navigation and real-time newsfeed that have become central to our platform. We'll also discuss that eternal question of build versus buy versus outsource. Throughout this journey, the Microsoft 365 community has been instrumental, and I want to share some of the key lessons I've learned from being part of that ecosystem. So let's get started. and look at where it all began. So our story starts with one question: could we build it ourselves? And why did we ask us this question? Back then, there was no product which met our multilingual requirements, and customizing one would still leave gaps. So that's why we took the SPFx path on SharePoint Online and built our own components. So the challenge in 2020, at the beginning of the COVID era, was to build a proof of concept which would showcase all the priority one requirement for our corporate communication department. The amount of time was limited, about 3 months, and I was working alone. We didn't have any SPFx infrastructure, and our company IT was fully focused on COVID and absorbing the cloud transformation. The feature requirements were particularly focused on multilingual feature, and exactly during the proof of concept period, Microsoft published what we today call the multilingual publishing feature of SharePoint. I searched for many solutions and found them thanks to the community in the form of SPF examples that could either be used and integrated directly or add components I could extract and use. Also, the numerous blog posts were great to get started. So the POC was in intense time, but it did succeed, and the actual internet was born. The POC fulfilled, albeit in simple form, in most of the case, about 30 to 40% of the actual implemented solution. And it did showcase 2 very important points. The first one is SharePoint Online was the right platform to implement a modern intranet. And the second one was letting the community empower us would bring a lot of added value to our intranet. So, speaking of the team, our intranet started small, but with experienced people. We built a team with 2 developers, one myself and a colleague from an IT company. And we had 2 engineers and 1 seasoned product owner who really knew the intranet and SharePoint domain inside and out. So today, the technical team is not bigger. It's about 3.5 FTE, plus the product owner, who oversees more than 100 SPFx solutions, several apps, and SharePoint application. We scaled through lean processes and by reusing what we had already built. So we relied on external resource only during the initial build phase, then replaced them with internal developer for long-term sustainability. So how did we manage this? Clear role splits following agile principle, product owner, developer, engineering, and publisher, each knowing their responsibility. A proper CI/CD pipeline to automate deployment, a solid branching strategy to keep our code organized and stable, and a scene slice up rollout. So when we launch, for example, a hub, we don't wait to have 100% of the feature. We start with the most critical component, use navigation, whatever. Then we get that live, gather feedback, add more feature in subsequent iteration. And that's something we practice strongly today. So we fix the bug, implement feature, act agile. We are acting agile meaning, so we implement, test, and deploy this set of features and don't build everything in releases. Now, some background about how we have organized our environment in my company. So something which may sound obvious, but is actually really important. You need to let your developer test and experiment safely. So I'm myself a developer, and when I develop software, I need to iterate fast. So I can't do that in production. So developer tenant is the right fit for this. We also have additionally so-called shared developer tenant, and this is our primary target for deployment and testing. So we don't have in this shared development tenant any corporate data, but it has one critical setting. It's the targeted release setting. And this means that this tenant gets update from Microsoft first before it hits production. So if there are any change that we think might impact our software, we have some time to check those changes here and fix before they hit production. So the bottom line is you will need at least 2 tenants, one for development where you can enable targeted release and experiment safely, and your production environment, which stay on standard release. So now let's start shortly how we have organized our hubs. So this is a typical hubs here. For example, our intranet hub, and we have also additional hubs, which are either thematical or organizational. They all share the same functionality, the same structure. So a hub itself as a SharePoint site, this is the hub site, and then we have one or many news site. We also have one or many content site, and we have one search site. And this is replicated for all hubs. And one important feature we have added is the ability to always see search results when you are in a thematical or organizational hub from the intranet hub. So we are doing this by leveraging PNP modern search and implementing the corresponding result source in the hub. So this means that in this hub, we have the same result source like in this hub here. So the user, when they are searching for information in a thematical hub, they have a vertical, or they can see the result from the, like when it was from the intranet hub. And this is a much appreciated feature in our company. So reusability starts with having a solid environment strategy. So we run all our deployment through a pipeline that takes us from development to production. And it enables us quick validation and rollout it at each stage. So when it comes to configuration, we use mainly variable for everything. We do not hardcode values anywhere. So this means we build once per environment with value compiled at build time. So yes, you have dedicated build for development and for production, but that's by design. For multi-site deployment, we take a careful approach. So we avoid skip feature deployment because we want to control over where our solution go. We deploy only where they are actually needed, not everywhere by default. So our exchange rules are simple but strict. Never hardcode URL or ID, always use the context API and the relative path. And this makes our component portable. We also standardize everything through framework use. So PNP.js for our SharePoint operation, Fluent UI, PNP React Control for consistent UI component, and also PNP Property Pane Control for uniform configuration experience. So when every solution uses the same building blocks, maintenance becomes so much easier. Remember, environment variables are your friend. Embrace building for every environment. It's a bit more work up front, that saves you from so many headaches later. So now I'll show some little code example. So basically, this one is how we leverage the context API, which give for an SPFx solution the actual, for example, site of web URL. We never do that. We never hardcode an URL, but sometimes you may need to configure an URL. So what we do for UI component, we use the property pane configuration. So we let our user either paste an URL or we leverage a lot of so-called PNP picker. So in the PNP property pane, there is a lot of pickers, either when you want to select a file, a list, or a site, and then we wire this in the web part, for example, and let the user choose those things. And what's important here is maybe you don't have a UI component. So if you have an SPFx extension, for example, then we fall back to environment variable. So this is condensed my whole checklist. So basically, you should never hardcode anything. You should make everything configurable. You should test across tenant, site, and if you are in a multilingual setup, also with language. If you follow this practice, your component will run everywhere. It's like an app on a smartphone. So now I will show how we have approach multilingual setup. So basically, a SharePoint page is split in two parts for us. The upper part, which contains the whole search bar, the SharePoint control, the navigation, and then the bottom part, which contains the content. So in the bottom part, if you deploy an SPFx component that show content, it will localize not in the content language, but it will localize in the content of the user language. And to avoid this patchwork of different language displayed on the same page, we have implemented some custom logic. So let me give you a concrete example. Imagine if you have a user who has an interface language set to German, and now that user switches to a French page. What happened with the default SPFx implementation? The page content is in French, but the SPFx components still render in German because they are following the user UI settings by default. This is shown here. So you will always have, with the standard behavior, the user language. And that's the patchwork problem I've mentioned. And our approach fixes this. So if the user is on the page, the bottom part will always render in the same content language which you have generated on your page. So when you want to translate the SharePoint page into multiple language, you use the multilingual publishing feature, which was launched in 2020 in the COVID era. So this feature adds some metadata fields that track which language page is in and what its source page is. So basically, it creates a relationship between all the translated version and adds some additional information. And that's what's interesting for us as SPFx developer. These fields are available in the list item. So which means our web part can detect what language the current page is displaying. And instead of relying on the user browser setting or the profile language, we make our component following the page language. So I will show you shortly two little pieces of code we've built and used throughout our SPFx solution. And this little helper reads those translation field and automatically switch web part localization to match. So the first demo, I will show standard SPFx behavior and our localization enhancement. And you will see also the code. So now I will shortly switch to Visual Studio Code. So yeah. So that's a standard SPFx web part which I've generated for this demo. So now in the source, I have two web part here. This is the standard web part with no customization. And if I look, for example, at the component, you can see here it gathers, for example, the title from a string. And this is taken from this one here. So you don't have to do anything for the localization in the standard SPFx. So it takes here the welcome title from here, and it takes here, if you are in English, for example, the welcome title from this file. And this works out of the box without any changes. And that's why the content is in another language if you have a SPFx standard web. Now, our logic is a bit more elaborated. And if it's basically, we have two part here. The first one here is in the init of the web part. We just calculate the language of the page. So we retrieve here. There is a lot of code here, but basically it's because we serve all these settings in various languages. So I will share the code at the end. And what we do here, we gather the list item, and then we define what is the language of which is present on this page. And if I look at the component here, we just have a method which gets this page language, which we have gathered before. And this method just goes to the file, which we also have here. And it overrides basically what file is used to get this string from the file. So you can see it here, and it will take another file. It's exactly the same definition. So we just align this logic to the page content. Now I will show this on the tenant. So I'm here. That's not the picture. Do you see the screen? Yeah. Yeah.
Can see, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Okay. I just got a warning on the sides. It's big. Okay. This is a page where I've loaded the first web part. So basically, I'm here in an English setup. And this is the first web part with the standard SPFx localization. And you can see I'm working in the Swiss German part. So I've my profile language is German. So it takes here a German setup. So it says, you know, your setup is German. I will show everything in German. And on the second part, which we'll show here, it's the second web part which I've shown. So this one, it says, okay, you have a German setup, but I've detected that the page here, which is here, English. So we have here English or German. So I'm on the English page, and I want to show the whole content in English. So it automatically overrides everything in English. And so you have the experience which we were searching, because we have on our intranet 2 to 3 language, and we want that the content is consistent for every user. So when they switch on a page in the correct language, it should also show all the component in this language. Great. Now it's okay for the first demo. Let's switch back here. So these things here. Okay. Okay. So you see my demo. Great. We have taken care of our SPFx, making our SPFx solution reusable from the beginning, even in our intranet. So basically, extending them to other hubs for us is now quite easy. So the first hub was our intranet, and now rolling out new hubs is just configuration-driven work. So with some fine-tuning, where we ask ourselves what kind of component we need, and maybe we do minimal new implementation. And now, thanks to our framework and technology choice like React, all the PNP initiatives and Fluent UI, Azure, and so on, we are able to deploy a platform quickly across environment and iterate faster on adding new feature. So now let's move to the next topic in page navigation. So SharePoint Online page are modern, and they align with the experience of modern websites where you scroll down a lot and basically you don't know how much information you are seeing on a page. So to support our user and enable a better in-page navigation and discovery, we have developed two SPFx solutions. The first one is a configurable solution that automatically creates a table of contents based on the page content. So it's a web part we insert on almost every page. So the web part reads the headings, which the publisher can configure based on how the page content has been organized, and the user can then visualize this in-page table of content with anchor links where he can jump inside the page where he wants. So the second component is an addition that integrates seamlessly with the first web part because it gathered configuration from the table of contents web part. So basically, when you have so long page, you have also always seen on the web page, you have so on the bottom right a scroll to top button. So we have inserted such a functionality with an SPFx extension. So when you scroll down the page, then you see a scroll to top button, and when you scroll up and you are on top of the page, then the button disappears. This is something which you also see on the normal website. And what we have added there is the same logic to show the table of content. So the user is able on every stage of the page where he is situated to see how the page is built and to jump to part of the page. So now let me show how this works on the SharePoint page. So this is the second demo. I will show a long content page without our web part, and then I will insert the in-page navigation web part, and it will generate this table of content. I will also show how our scroll to top extension behaves, and then how we can click and the user can orient himself on the page. So let's jump to the second demo. It's not this one. Yeah. Yep. Great. So I have here a long content page. So now for the demo, I had to pre-deploy the SPFx extension, which is doing the scroll to top, because it's an SPFx extension, so it needs to be activated on another way. So you can see that I have to reload the page here. So, yeah. Okay. So I have now this long page. That's a great use case for UI LLM generated text. I've done this before, and you see that we have a very long page, and I have this scroll to top here, which is available as soon as I am under the header. So it automatically appear or disappear. So basically here the user can scroll down and so you have a lot of page like this, and it's not so easy for the user to orient itself on such a page. So now I will insert our in-page navigation web part, and I can configure it here. So I can say, for example, it should allow heading of type 2 to be shown, and it automatically read the page content and show me what it is. So now I can also here say I want an emoji or emoji 2, for example, as you can put whatever Fluent UI icon it wants is available, and then I can publish this. Now we reload the page here just to make sure that the SPFx extension scroll to top is also aware of the configuration here. So now I can jump to our goal here, and it's just using standard web technology because every heading is an anchor on the page. So, and as you can notice here, this SPFx extension is now aware that there is this in-page navigation web part on the page, and it has this additional button here. And if I click on it, it will show me what kind of anchor I have on the page and also the icon configuration. So this is not fixed. It really reads the configuration of the web part on the page, like it reads the content of the page, and then it handles this. So the whole code is available on GitHub, so don't worry, you don't have to implement this by yourself. You can just take it and use it. So now I will just move on and show you another functionality here. I can also use a numeric layout. So basically it just number all the headings which are on the page. And I just reload the page here, and I want to go to the conclusion, for example. And if I look at here, it has taken the configuration from this web part, and it shows exactly the numbers which are available on the top, and it shows this also on the scroll to top extension. This was, by the way, an input which was given by one of our users because he found that the in-page navigation was great, but it did miss this on the scroll to top, so we implemented also this one. And that's something really great for the user, so they can navigate much more better on a page. If you want more information about this, I wrote a blog post, and how we use this with a DOM parser, how you can use also the canvas content to parse such elements. So let's switch back to the demo. Great. Now let's go to the next topic, a very important topic for our corporate communication. It's our intranet is made of news, and these are presented on the start page. And this is the most important entry point of our intranet. So about 50% of the traffic is generated by the start page and by news-related content. And with approximately 40% for the rest of the content, means minus the start page and the news-related content, and about 10% accounts the search. So in order to make our intranet page attractive and engaging, and we have quite a high engagement rate, about 65 to 70%. We have worked on 3 core features. So the first one is attractive UI design for presenting news. The second one is per-use news targeting. And the third one is what I call a near real time publishing. So the start page is a news feed, which shows basically normal SharePoint news. So they may come from specific site in different language. So we have created 2 unique design, which I will show in short in the demo. So the first one is a basic news design, which shows the principal information from a news. And the second one is what we call sticky news. So it's a news which is shown with a specific prominent design on top of all news. This is particularly interesting when you need to emphasize any communication to our user. So we have kept also news targeting very simple. So it's basically flat on one level, and users are able to quickly edit their preference and see in real time an update of the news feed. And the last part is technically a bit more ambitious, but as I said before, you get the whole code for free. So I will now explain what I mean with near real-time interactivity. So we found out that our user visit the intranet start page when they start their computer at the beginning of their workday or even week. So users stay on that start page, but they may forget to refresh it, which is quite clear. So now, within a day or maybe week, our company published some news, and we wanted this to be published on our intranet start page. Technically, we could have implemented some sort of automated newsfeed refresh. But then our user would possibly not have noticed that a new news was published or an update was available. So they will need to remind what was on that page this morning or yesterday. And that's now that's not how it should work. So we implemented a solution where the user just get a simple hint that some updates are available, like a new news. So the user can then press the update button and it will see what was new on the page. It's really simple and effective. And we have also implemented the same logic for various other use cases. So, for example, like showcasing IT system availability update, and yeah, that's something we have really extended on the start page. So let me explain you how this works. Basically, we have here a publisher, which may publish a news or do an update, and we have user here, and this user have opened the start page of the intranet where the newsfeed resides. So when the newsfeed web part is on the start page, it basically subscribe here through a WebSocket connection to a web app. And it's a natural web app. It's a little node component which run in the background. And this is doing bi-directional subscription between the user and the web app. So now, when the publisher create a news page on SharePoint, this news page is picked up by a logic app, which is running when an item is created or modified. It checks is this news as the status published, and then it notifies through an Azure Service Bus the web app, which is also listening to this Azure Service Bus that something new is available. And at this point, if the web app validates this input, then it just broadcasts through its WebSocket connection, there is something new. And the web part just reacts to this event. So it's automatically running through this WebSocket connection. So now I'll do a little demo of this, and you will see how a new news item has been published, how the toast appears, and also how this sticky news is shown. So let's switch back to my tenant. Great. So I have here, just refresh it. So I have this news feed. As you can see, this is the news feed. For example, I have here 3 news. And this is the channel targeting we have. So I can switch to engineering, for example. And I can say my news, which means this is all the channel which I've published. And I can also here choose channel which I want to see. And these are then saved in a user table. So now I've prepared a little news here. And I just go in the news, just do some little change. And I think we're set. I just published this one. And if we are lucky, within a minute, we will see this update on the page. So basically now the whole chain of command is running. So it it goes. The logic app is running, which is now has been done. So the logic app has picked up the item. It has sent the message to the Azure service bus, and the web app has also broadcasted to all the client. I think I'm the only one today on my developer tenant, but it doesn't matter how many clients do you have. So we also implemented some logic in this part, which is also available on the GitHub. So you can see here now the web part show me, hey, there is a news update. So and the user can go and take its meal and come back and see, hey, there is some new news. So I can click on it and see, I have a new news. So that's the first part of the demo. And now I will just switch to the second part. So I've prepared a news here. And now, just to show you the little difference which we have here, just try to see the details exactly. Now, here I have set a column field which is checked, which says this news is of type sticky. So, and I also need to set the sticky date, because it could be activated in the future. So I've set it like that. Now I'm publishing this news here. Going back to my news feed, and now exactly the same whole chain of command is running. So the logic app is running. It is publishing this to the Azure service bus. The service bus is sending this information to the web app, and the web app is broadcasting this to this web part, which is listening to those events through a WebSocket connection. So maybe we're not lucky with the second one. I've set up the whole pickup. It's here. So that's why I call it near real-time interactivity. So it may last 1 minute, but it's quite fast for what it is. So now when I click on it, I don't know what's new, and it will show me exactly this new sticky news. So the sticky news, you can just have one with this news feedback part. It's one which is prominent on top of your news feed page, and that's something we use from time to time. So to mention specific stuff or to forward a specific message to our user. So now let's switch back to the presentation. So my core recommendation from this 5-year experience is just go mainstream. So we have adopted all the best or most used framework and in the community, and we had very good experience with that. So sometimes people ask, should we use React? And I say, yes, just use React for SPFx, because the most sample are in React, and the most people in the community are doing React, and support is great. So PNP libraries, it's also mainstream. So everybody is using PNP controls or library. And basically, it's not a place where you should try so cool new experimental framework you have read about. Just stick with what works, what's documented, and what has community support. So your future self will thank you when you need to upgrade or debug something. So we also made a strategic choice early on. We would build our core competence in-house. So this means owning the fundamental building block, our red part, our localization framework, CI/CD pipeline. These are the things that make our internet what it is. and we need that knowledge to stay with us. So now, that doesn't mean we do everything ourselves. We've outsourced specific tasks where it made sense. Things like UI design, expertise, or specialized search implementation. The key is that we outsource the execution of specific tasks, but we keep the knowledge and the ability to maintain and evolve the solution in-house. So we never want to be in a position where we depend entirely on external resource to keep our platform running. And the real power of this approach show up in what I call the multiplier effect. So because our component are modular, configuration, and portable, we can deploy them to new hubs with minimal effort. So we build once and then we multiply that investment across the organization. And that's how a small team can support over 100 SPFx solutions, and we are not rebuilding from scratch every time. So here's something I cannot stress enough. We owe a huge part of our success to Microsoft 365 community. And I'm not just talking about inspiration, I'm talking about actual tangible code and solution that we use every single day. The PNP initiative has been absolutely transformational to us. So we use the PNP modern search solution across all our hubs, and PNPJS gave us a very clean, modern way to interact with any SharePoint API and also other API like the Graph API. And the PNP React control and the property pane control saves us literally months of development time. And these aren't just nice to have, they are production-grade components that thousands of developers and company relies on. So why would we build our own property pane controls? It's possible, but when the community has already built and tested and maintained excellent one, that makes no sense. And the community call are also another gold mine. So I have learned more from this call than from any other documentation. You can go in, you can ask questions, and you will get feedback. Then there is also the broader ecosystem, so GitHub repository which are full of SPFx sample, whether it is web part extension, a lot of blog posts from developers who already solved the problem we were facing. And when I wrote about succeeding with SPFx, the core message was you don't have to figure out everything out alone. So someone has probably already solved your problem and documented it and shared it with the community. This ties back to our build versus outsource strategy. We build what's unique to our organization, but we stand on the shoulder of giants by leveraging everything the community has created. That's smart building, not reinventing the wheel, but focusing on our energy where it truly matters. So to recap the benefit, I think we have looked at the stack. We really use that in our company. So React, Fluent UI, all the PNP initiative, and for some backend functionality like Function App, or what you have seen before. With the real-time news feed, we use Web App or Azure Service Bus. We also have a couple of Function App. And what's important is the community learns us how to speed out also our innovation, because we have always a new idea and new sample or new use case which have not thought about. And it's more than just a technical piece. So you have seen how this decision compound over time. So we have about 5 years of experience, and every reusable component we have built have saved us weeks on the next project. And every community solution we adopted meant we didn't waste time solving already solved problem. Yes, I hope you get a lot of inspiration from this talk, and that you either start a little team or you have a bigger team where you can take some input from us. Thank you for watching, and I'm just sharing some links here. Also, the first one is the in-page navigation, which was published by my company. The second one is also the real-time newsfeed. You will find detailed information. You can get the whole code. There is also setup information if you need to understand how it works. These solutions are also have the multilingual approach, which I've shown implemented, and the important part is the start page of the community, where you found everything from SPF example through whatever you need. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nello. Really good presentation. Yeah, so I just put in a poll there. If people could rate the session. People are
Yeah,
saying, yeah, great solutions for doing the news updates. Great work. Yeah,
great.
perfect.
Thank you.
So on behalf of the ESPC, we'd like to extend a big thank you, Nello, for taking time out today to carry this webinar. Really appreciate it. Great presentation and demos. So that's the end of today's webinar. You can find this webinar and more at sharepointeurope.com/resource center. Thanks again for all of you for joining us today, and hope you join us again soon. Take care.
Bye bye.